Previously on Justice League, it was Monday. Now back to the story. The Justice Lords have locked the Justice League up in bondage and closely monitored them to make sure they don't pull anything.
One question. Why? Because you and your friends couldn't do what needed to be done.
But it's not all bondage and good times. Flash saw what happened to Hawkgirl before he passed out. She wasn't just knocked out. Green Lantern really conked her hard, and she's been hospitalized. This bothers Lord Batman because, having lost their Flash, to kill another team member, well, even if it's not intentional, that's pretty hard for him to stomach. So Flash takes advantage of that, making it appear that his heart is stopped so that Lord Batman has to rush into his rescue and unintentionally gives him the way out. It was the only way out, actually, to think of a plan that Batman would never think of, which isn't easy when, well, Batman has enough time to sit around in his cave and build portals to other realities. I mean, that's the kind of thing you come up with once you have planned for cakes to become self-aware and attack people. And that's terrible. Flash quickly frees the others.
I don't know about the rest of you, but I'm ready to kick some serious...
Heine. He was going to say Heine, wasn't he? But finding Hawkgirl is the priority now. They're going to need to handle that while Batman goes to check on the portal alone. After some thought, Green Lantern figures they'd keep Hawkgirl in Arkham Asylum. That's where you put villains, after all, and that's what they are for daring not to become oppressive dictators. It seems Superman has been busy. All the inmates have been lobotomized just like Doomsday using his heat vision, leaving them docile. Even the Joker is meek enough now to run the place. I believe their new motivational poster says, "You don't have to be crazy to work here. In fact, we have a nasty cure for that." He just needs the password to see Hawkgirl.
Applesauce.
Right. But Wonder Woman was supposed to say it.
Well, crap. If only you were a mind reader, huh? So now they have to fight a squad of Superman robots, but the more interesting thing is back at the Batcave, with what every yaoi girl dreams of, Batman on Batman action. It's a chess match of both words and moves. Batman says that he prefers the shadows, but Lord Batman thinks the only way to make a change is to step into the daylight. Lord's way does get results. Batman fought crime, but it just kept coming. Lord defeated crime.
You grabbed power, and with that power, we've made a world where no 8-year-old boy will ever lose his parents because of some punk with a gun.
Well, that settles it. Batman throws in the old Batarang, and he's ready to hop into the Batmobile and drive them both over to Arkham to deal with the others. But on the way, they see a man arrested for nothing more than getting upset over his restaurant bill.
They'd love it here, don't you think? Who? Mom and Dad. They'd be so proud of you.
The balance between the two is indeed very difficult. It is easy to dismiss Lord Batman's position out of hand when you see the fascist state that this place has become. But it is clean, beautiful, and free of crime. And when the world seems a horrible place, it can often seem that a horrible answer is the only way out. And when it seems to make the world less horrible, well, suddenly maybe it seems like you're doing the right thing after all. It can eventually start to even seem normal. Deep Space Nine's In the Pale Moonlight gave us a situation where the only way to save the Federation and countless lives was for Cisco to follow Garrick into an ever deeper series of offenses until he was an unwitting accomplice to murder. Compared against that, Cisco was doing what was necessary and argued things, much like Lord Batman, about the greater good that he was serving. And that episode was an incredible tour de force. How is he different then? I think because Cisco recognizes that what he did was wrong. He did it because he had to, but that didn't make it any less wrong. And as Garrick told him, the cost of that was going to be his self-respect and the guilt over what he's done. The fact that he saved the day doesn't change that, because sometimes the hero must make a sacrifice for victory. And that can be one's honor, moral authority. That's what he did. What the Justice Lords have done is refuse to see that sacrifice, but to instead normalize it. Instead of feeling guilt over what happened, of seeing it as a necessary evil to save so many, they've embraced it as the answer to a systemic problem. Lord Batman used to work in the dark to protect the system. He only stepped into the light in order to overthrow it. After all, you did all this so no one would have to be terrified of the villains again, and you succeeded. Now they're just terrified of you. I gave the example last time of why Batman doesn't just kill the Joker and be done with it, given how often he escapes, how often he kills. But the question should really be, why do we still allow it? Why do we not execute him? Why aren't we the ones who do it, with the force of legality? Something is stopping us as a society, whether it's because the Joker is sick or just opposition to the death penalty, period. The law refuses to take his life. To expect Batman to do so is to abdicate our responsibility to him, insist that the blood be on his hands and not on ours. A superhero can save the world, but can't fix the world. That's our job. If they take it, or we give them the authority, well, then the end result isn't going to be justice, just order, and with a very steep price. So that comment has been what's turned the Lord Batman around, and he actually intervenes on the Justice League's behalf at Arkham, and then he sends them back to their own dimension, but he chooses to stay where he is. He's given them a chance, except as Batman notes, while the League has a Flash and a Batman while down a Hawkgirl, the Lords are not going to be holding back. They're prepared to kill. If the League's not going to go that far, then they need an additional edge, which may require crossing a different line and bringing in help that we never thought of before.
Into the mystical, the irrational. La 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 la.
No, we will never be that desperate. Meanwhile, the Justice Lords have taken over the Watchtower, beefed it up, and are now monitoring things on Earth, noting that Lex Luthor has once again escaped from prison. What a surprise. The Lords head down to handle it, but instead they find Martian Manhunter disguised as Luthor. Like his counterpart, he apologizes right before letting them all get zapped in their own cage. And once again, Hawkgirl overcomes and gets out, and Green Lantern hesitates, not as prepared as his counterpart had been to do this. So she manages to free the others, turning a quick trap into a big-ass slugfest. Batman can't be the only one who gets to fight his evil twin, after all. Although, oddly enough, the Flash takes on Lord Superman, who is decidedly not amused at his antics.
Wow, Soups, you really know how to bring down the house.
Okay, he did have it coming for that one. He's prepared to kill Flash, ironic considering it was his murder that set Superman on this path to do whatever it takes to stop the kind of evil, like killing the Flash. But Superman appears side by side with Luthor of all people, but he has his invention, a power disruptor, to take down the Justice Lords for good without killing them. In return for his help, Luthor gets a full pardon. He can just walk right out of here right now. It's a high price, but better than letting fascist overlord copies of yourself run amok. I mean, that's going to hurt the old PR. What's next for old Lex?
I have been giving some thought to politics.
And a shotgun with Flash's name on it. A Better World is an incredible two-parter. It's got great action and interesting character exploration. The Justice Lords, for the most part, aren't bad. They're just misguided and can be sympathized with to a certain degree, each committed in different ways and to different degrees to their cause. It also lays the foundation for what we've been seeing, why the government has created Cadmus and tried to form its own superhero team loyal to it, because we see what can happen if their heroes choose to go rogue. It coincidentally was aired during the lead-up to the Iraq War, so it can seem like it has a political message to it, but if so, it wasn't intended. The only message is that if you step over the line because of circumstance, you might stop being the good guys. You can take that as political or not, it's up to you. We'll be taking a break from Justice League for a little while, but tomorrow, more Escaflowne.
All hail the Overlord! All hail the Overlord!
Hey, he was the conscience of your group, and that means I must be.
Come on, Jimmy.